This is a track that I put together in a program called Logic Pro on the Mac, and it is called The Antagonist. It's the main theme that you hear repeated in various forms throughout the film. So I thought I'd just go through it briefly just to show you how it's constructed. So this is a timeline along here. Bar 1, bar 3, bar 5, bar 7, bar 8, bar 9, 11, etc. Up here you've got make it a bit bigger. This is showing you the bar you're at. The tempo's 65 beats per minute. The whole thing is just 20 bars long, ends on bar 21, and it's about 1:13 long. So I should also probably just very quickly show you where the actual notation goes. If you double click on here, you can then see the individual notes on that track represented by this graph. You can actually have it as notation. If I press N, you can see it as musical notes, but I can't read music that well, so I just rely on this. So basically what I do is I connect a MIDI keyboard to my computer and I just play the notes in until I get what sounds right to my ear. That's the trombone down there. So you're listening to the trombone now. There's the pizzicato cellos. The violas. So yeah, each track has its own set of notes, or you have two different types of tracks. You have MIDI note tracks, which is a MIDI instrument. So for example, on the bass guitar here, you can see the notes here are played on bass, and that's playing on this instrument over here. Over here is where you put the instrument in, so you can have any kind of instrument. You can change it if you want, but in this situation, for example, I put in an electric bass guitar. If I didn't like that, I could maybe use something else out of this library I've got over here. A different bass now. Mute the other one. There you go, that's a different bass sound. Quite like that actually. Try it. Different sound. Quite nice. And then throughout the film, what I did was I've used various different mixes using different elements from this track. So I've sort of stripped it down in certain places. Some parts I've just used the orchestral elements, other parts I've used rhythmic elements. So you've got all your different tracks here. There's the kick drums, there's finger snaps, there's loads of snare drums and claps. More claps. You've got a little ethnic bell, you've got some percussion, something I call tappies. There's a vibra slap, some synthetic percussion, Chinese percussion, ride cymbals, shakers, bass, guitars, orchestral bass, trombone, brass, trumpet, and a harp. This is the mixer down at the bottom here, so where you mix the sounds together. So at the beginning here I've got 2 kick drums and I've grouped them together as kicks, so if I mute one it'll mute both of them. And then I've got all of these tracks from here to here. These are all snares and claps, so if I want to mute them I can just click on the mute button and they all get muted. There's a percussion group, that's those there. The top sort of trebly elements are all there. There's 2 channels of bass, then there's the orchestral bass, and then what I call the motors, which are the kind of do-do-do-do-do-do-do, the sort of things that move it along. There's 3 channels of that, and then down here you've got the high orchestral sounds, the violas and the strings, and then there's a little kind of element, which is a kind of, it sounds like an electronic signal, like a Morse code type thing. Just goes like that. All of these channels, each channel has its own effects, plugins within that channel, and then each of these channels gets sent either to the stereo output, or in the case of the claps, the drum, the snares and the claps, they're being sent to this group. It's an output bus, they call it, which is basically a group. So that bus 9, for example, is the drum group, and all the buses are down this end. The drum group, for example, is here. This is bus number 9. And all the drums come through this bus, and then there's a few effects that I put over the whole group of drums, which you can see here. So I've put a little bit of vintage warming, like you used to get when you used to record stuff on analog tape. You used to get this kind of harmonic distortion, which gave it a nice, warm sound. And then there's an inflator, which is a sort of similar effect. Actually, I've kind of done the same thing twice. And then this is a compressor that I put over the whole group. So when the drums are playing, if I solo the drum group, you should now just hear the drums. You can see that they're being slightly compressed, actually quite heavily compressed, a ratio of 4:1, just to control the volume of the group. So then you've also got a group, for example, for the strings here. And again, I've got some effects going over that group. There's a bit of EQ just to compress the higher frequencies. So this is just literally one point that I've put this EQ point in here, and everything above that point, as those frequencies are playing, you can see it compressing as that yellow line goes up and down. Just controls the high end so it's not too overpowering. Again, I've put a bit of a compressor over the whole group, and then this plug-in here, it kind of widens the stereo width. So you can see here, I don't know if you can see that actually, it says 1.35. 1 would be normal stereo, and the higher it goes, the wider it makes the sound. So you can push it up so it widens it. You can see that sort of graphical representation. That's like mono, and that's super wide. But I've just widened the strings slightly so that they register a bit more in the left and the right. These little knobs here control how much from this channel you're sending to this bus. So for example, this clap, if I just solo that track, it's just a single clap, and I just put a shed load of reverb on it. In fact, four different types of reverb, just to go completely mad. So I've sent a little bit to -2 dB. I've sent to bus 16, bus 19, 21 and 22. So if we go up here, you can see what I've got on 16. That's 16, 19, 21 and 22. So 16 is an old Lexicon reverb. So let's have a little listen to that. That's that effect there. But then you've got 19, which is this Palace reverb. It's just a massive sort of splash of sound which I wanted to create. So it sounds like that. And 21 and 22 are these. Oh, they're muted. So I didn't like those. I think I was experimenting with some sort of weird harmonizer kind of tumbling down. So that would have sounded like, which I just thought was too much. So I didn't keep that. I just muted that. So the end result of that those effects on the clap. The 2 reverb sounds like this. So it's like a big distance of crash. So if we go through, I'll mute everything and then I will sort of introduce stuff. So we've got the kick drum. Let's put the bass on. Bring in the snap. Six snares. That's when you can see how many layers of claps and snares I've got along here. This one's playing on every beat. This one's playing on the intermediate beat. There's a little reverse sound there. These are little, I don't know if you can hear that tiny little bell thing. And then you've got the percussion layer, which is here. Turn it up a little bit. So there's a percussion there, so the kick drum's still on up here. And you've got some shakers and all the top treble stuff. I'll put the orchestral stuff in now, hang on. So it's like a little motif played on the cello, on the violas. Then bring in the bass. And then you've got the violas and strings. And then the electric bass. And then that little signal thing I was talking about earlier. And a harp playing some sort of flourishes. And that's it. By muting different parts, you can create different arrangements and use different pieces throughout the film. So when it's all put together, it sounds like this. Anyway, I hope that gives you some sort of insight into how the music for the Briefcase was composed and produced.